Okay, guys, the major reason why I started this channel was to help people learn how to catch fish, uh, retrieve speed, different plugs to throw, how to throw these things. And I'm going to be getting a lot into that this season, especially since maybe I'll have a little bit more time to fish during the day, and be able to go back, because I fish mainly at night. That's just when you're going to have your best fishing experiences is at night. If I can find them at night and I'm catching them, I know that you can't really see much what I'm doing. Filming at night sucks. Fishing at night is great. So unfortunately, I can't do both at the same time. So but probably what I'm going to do is fish at night, get some video of that, go back during the day to a location that's probably not going to be the same, but very similar, and show you guys exactly what I was doing. But before the season really kicks off and gets going, I want to get into some tips and some other things that I've learned over years of doing this that can help you guys target fish, and today specifically the largest fish that you're going to catch, and when they're going to hit. This is not a concept that's new to me. It's also not a concept that's original to me. And I will give credit where credit is due, because I've heard him say it hundreds of times during many different seminars. And that's credit 100% to Crazy Alberto Nate. This concept holds true for almost every location that I've fished, almost every type of fishing that I've done, whether it's been with plugs, whether it's been with bait. And what I've also learned is that it holds true to a multitude of species. Fluke, stripers, bluefish even, I've noticed it. And this concept is, or this technique is, or I don't even know if you call it a technique really, is it's really targeting a specific stage of the tide. And if you target that specific stage of the tide, then you'll notice it. And I've noticed it over the past 30 years that I've been doing this. And like I said, almost in every type of fishing that I've done. You're out there, you're getting fish, you're on a pretty good bite. They're all cookie cutter size fish. And then all of a sudden you notice, hey, I'm getting larger fish. And it usually doesn't last long. You'll bang a nice big one, two nice big ones, and then it's gone. That's because those bigger fish come out to feed during the last 20 minutes and the first 20 minutes of the tide or the current. Sometimes tide lines up with current, sometimes it doesn't. But that's a topic for a whole nother video. But if you can target those 20 minutes, that first 20 minutes and that last 20 minutes, then that's when your biggest fish are going to pop out. That's when you're going to get your biggest fish. I'm not a big fish chaser. I'm not. I'm happy just going out and catching pretty much anything, whether it be from trout to largemouth to pickerel, all the different types of fish that I've caught growing up and everything else, and getting older. Fishing is fishing for me. If I can go down there and whack a bunch of schoolies this time of year, I'm more than happy doing it. But I'm always going to keep that in my mindset, that those big fish are going to come out during a specific time of the tide. And like I've said, it's always rang true. I'll be into 10 to 15 pound fish, and then all of a sudden that tide net current slows, and all of a sudden, boom, that's when those big fish start showing up. And like I said, then the tide stops, and really you should fish through the slack, because a lot of times you will pick up some fish moving around. But it's usually, if you can get them on both tides, good. Yeah, I'm not going to get into incoming, outgoing, because I feel like it's very hard to pattern these fish these days. Many times I've had them on the out, and I've had them on the in as well. And lately it just seems to be that you're only getting them on one stage of the tide. Unless they, like I said, every experience is different. when it comes to tide stage a lot of the times now. But what really rings true is what I discussed about that last 20 minutes and that first 20 minutes. That's when you should be paying attention to when your biggest fish are going to come out. Even bait fishing, same thing. I've noticed that, back, I haven't done it in a long time, years and years, and throwing chunks, and you're not really getting too much. Then all of a sudden it picks up a little bit, pulling up a bunch of smaller fish, and the tide slows down, and all of a sudden the rod's doubled over, and you had a good fish. You can apply this to everything that you do, saltwater fishing, and I've noticed it with fluke, definitely. I'll be getting a bunch of short fluke, tide will slow down a little bit, and boom, pulling up a couple of keepers, putting the cooler and take home. There's, of course, where you're fishing is going to depend on what you're throwing and stuff like that. And I'll just use a specific example. Say I'm fishing jetty A in inlet A, and I hit that stage of the tide, and I found fish, tide slowing, whack, I get a couple of good fish. If I have the time and I know that the next jetty over is about an hour ride away, now I'm going to pick up my stuff and I'm going to scoot over to that jetty, because if I can make it there for that last 20 minutes, then I might be into bigger fish again, rather than wait to see if they're going to be there on the switch, which sometimes works, sometimes doesn't. But you really want to fish through that 20-minute on either side of that moving current. And you might have to say, usually I'd be throwing 3 ounces at jetty A during the fastest part of the tide. When you start feeling that your bucktail is not swinging the same way that it was, you got to start dropping down the weight and keeping it matched. If you keep that, that jetty swing, if you keep that bucktail swinging the same way it was when you were getting fish, then you're going to continue to catch fish. And then sometimes it'll slow down so much that I'll switch it over from a bucktail to something like a tsunami swim shad. And I've also had a lot of luck doing that. Now that swim shad is kind of staying in that zone that the bucktail was, and I'll pull the bigger fish on the swim shad. Not always. There's lots of different soft plastics and stuff that guys like to use. Or even I've dropped it down from a 3 ounce bucktail to a 1.5, and then all of a sudden, bang! There's that big fish, because that bucktail is now in the same zone. But as we get on more with this season, I'm going to do a lot more filming with those, specifically bucktail techniques, because there's so many different ways. I don't even want to touch on that in this video, because I'll just go off on a tangent and get lost in bucktail world. Like I said, that's going to be like a series of videos, because there's so many different ways to work a bucktail, and here I go off on a tangent. So let me rein myself back in here, and again, specifically, these are that tide. If you're not fishing that tide, or you're leaving when it slows down, that's a huge mistake. You got to fish, you got to fish through that 20 minutes into that slack water. And tide and current don't always line up. That's another thing. Specifically, you got to learn your area, because sometimes the tide is 2.5 hours difference between the current. So what I mean by that is the current may still be coming in, and the tide can be going out. You'll watch that water drop, but guess what? The current's still coming in. Things that you got to pay attention to. There's a lot of specific spots in inlets on Long Island where this holds very true, that the current does not line up with the tide. Don't look at tide and current as being the same thing. They aren't. And a lot of people make that mistake. As you get more into and more experienced, you'll learn, this water's going to start dropping 3.5 hours into the incoming, the water's going to start incoming current. This water's going to start dropping. No, yeah, that's the difference between tide and current. Sometimes it takes a lot longer to switch, and that can be affected by wind and storms and weather also, whether water's getting held back or getting pushed out. But guys, that's that's gonna wrap it up for this video. That's the quick. Be having a lot more of these videos where I'm just gonna go over techniques and tips. I can't go out and specifically show you that, and that's the difficult thing is to sit there and listen. I think fishing is a lot of feel. Fishing is a lot of feel, not just listening to somebody ramble on YouTube. It's getting out there and doing it, and then paying attention to what's going on. A lot of people keep a log. I'm terrible at keeping a log. I've tried every year to keep a log, and I'll get 2 trips in, and that's it, log done. Like, coming back at 5 in the morning, I'm not picking up a book and jotting stuff down. Guys are really good with it. I'm just not. I'm too lazy. It's just like, all right, well, I had fish tonight, and now it's time to go to bed. At 5 o'clock in the morning, 6 o'clock in the morning, and wake up and do it all over again, hopefully, now that I'm retired. But that's it. And like I said, I'm not specifically a big fish hunter. I'm not. I'm not the guy who. I'm not really even the guy who's probably going to drop his stuff, drop everything, and run to another inlet. It's like, no, yeah, I'm here. I caught fish. I'm happy. Those guys that are big fish hunters. Running and gunning. God bless them. That's. But like I said, I'm happy pretty much catching fish. No matter what size they are. If you're first getting into this, like I said, pay attention. Give it a few. I can say this now. Give it a few years of experience, and I bet you, I can almost guarantee you're going to turn around yourself and say, "I think he was right." Well, Crazy Alberto Nee was right. Jay's just going by what he was told and applying that to my experiences. That's it, guys. It's beginning of the season. I think what's today? Today is, I think it's the 16th. Yeah, it's the 16th. I did get out for the beginning of opening night. Really kind of slow. I'm not seeing any bait in the locations that I'm fishing. I don't want to get too much into that. I had like 4 of the lightest taps, and that was about it. So earlier in the week, I did run into some larger fish, but again, that's a topic for another discussion of the video. Of a different video anyway. Kind of like how I feel that these early spring fish move, and your best targeted times, and I think I've talked about that too, is like that 2 days before the moon, 2 days after the moon. I've definitely made a video of that. And usually in the early spring, you'll get that run of big fish that comes in, and then poof, they're gone. Like next night, gone. Nothing. You'll get into them one night and go back and be, I'm going to crush them again. And no, they're gone. Where'd they go? So, all right, guys, tight lines on the season. I'm going to continue to try to update you guys on the fishing, at least on a weekly basis, but we haven't even reached a full week into the season, and I haven't really even specifically hit out where I mainly target yet. Just a little bit too early. But and this god-awful wind that just never ends, which is why I'm sitting in a truck filming this video right now, because I wanted to go down to the beach and film it, but it's just, not conducive to filming as usually goes. But yeah, I'm going to try to do, like, maybe at the end of the week, a weekly update, not specific, but, to the area that I'm fishing, what I'm seeing, what's going on. The area where I was fishing is considerably west of where I live, and I'm not seeing any bait. Not even a spearing, no bunker, just nothing to hold these fish. So it's been just very, very slow pick. All right, guys, well, that's it. If you enjoyed this video, please like, subscribe, comment. The comments really help push the video more probably than anything. So let me know how you guys feel. Am I off on this? Am I right? I think I'm right. That's me. What are your experiences? Share with me, give me ideas, give me tips for videos you guys want to see, anything that you want me to discuss. Put the comment down below, and I'll bring it up in a video. Okay, guys, thanks. Enjoy tight lines for this season. I hope you guys get into some really nice fish. and let me know how things work out for you. Thanks.